All quiet. Namaskaraha, Suprabhatam.
Patami Samskritam Nityam.
Vadami Samskritam Sada.
Vadami Sanskritam Sada.
Jayami Samskritam Samyak.
Vyayami Samskritam Samyak.
Vande Samskrita Mataram.
Vande Samskrita Mataram.
Samskritasya prasaraya.
Samskritasya prasaraya.
Naijam sarvam dadamyaham.
Naijam sadamyaham.
Samskritasya sada bhakto.
Samskritasya sada bhakto.
Vande Samskrita Mataram.
Vande Samskrita Mataram.
Samskritasya krite jivan.
Samskritasya krite jivan.
Samskritasya krite yajan.
Samskritasya yajan.
Atmanamahutam manye.
Atmanamahutam manye.
Vande Samskrita Mataram.
Vande Samskrita Mataram.
Vande Samskrita Mataram.
Vande Samskrita Mataram.
Okay, today we will try to complete all the remaining parts of our third chapter. So after the Sankhya, you have this Prahelika. So this is the Prahelika, which says Simantinishu Shantaka. So you get the answer by combining the first and the last alphabet. C Shanta. Ha. So Sita is the answer. Simantinishu means women, Nari Nam. Shantaka. So who is the most calm person? Shanta among women is the question. And the second is Raja Vinotamaha. The king who is free with all auspicious qualities. So it is Rama. Rama. So Ramaha is the Raja who is the person who is filled with all auspicious qualities. As per the Ramayana, in the conversation between Sage Narada and Sage Valmiki, we know that Rama is the one who is filled with all the 16 auspicious qualities. Ka Vidusham Sadavandya. So here V and Ya joined together. Vidya is the answer. So Ka Vidusham Sadavandya. Who is respected by all the learned people? Vidusham means scholars. So the answer is Vidya. Knowledge is what is respected by all learned people. Uttaram Atra eva eka uttaram asti. There is one answer here. Na buddhyate. So, do you get it? So, when you combine the answers, you get the answer which is right here. So, this is the Prahelika which is there in page 53. Everybody follows this, right? So, Sita Ramaha Vidya. This is a wonderful Subhashitam that is again there in your book. It's in page 59 of the Pravesha book, Subhashitam. This is one of the Subhashitams which can be quoted in many of the lectures. So if you're a person who usually talks, addressing people, this is such a beautiful thing which can be adapted to so many different contexts. In fact, once in Raji's recording, this was my 5th plan. You know, if I did the 5th episode, I wanted to use this, but we did 4. So here we go. Subhashitam. Na kaschidapi janati kim tasya swo bhavishyati ataha shvaha karaniyani kuryad adyaiva buddhiman. So this is the Subhashitam. So how do you split it? Na kaschit. Kaschit api will become kaschit api. Api means also. Janati kim kasya shvo bhavishyati. Shvo bhavishyati is actually shvaha bhavishyati. When you combine it and write, it will become shvo bhavishyati. Shvaha bhavishyati. Ataha shvaha karaniyani kuryad adhyaiva is there, no? So it is kuryat. Adya eva buddhiman. Adya also you know. So actually the Pravesha book is planned in a beautiful way that in this chapter you will be learning Adya, Shvaha, etc. So they give Subhashitas which match the context of what you learn. So they try to map everything and ensure that you understand these words easily. So na kaschidapi janati kasya shvaha bhavishyati ataha, therefore shvaha karaniyani kuryat adya eva buddhiman. That is the way you split the sloka. Now let's see what you can understand from it. Kim kasya shvaha bhavishyati iti na kaschidapi janati atah shvaha karaniyani karyani buddhiman adya eva kuryat. Okay, so kim kasya shvaha, kim. So what is going to happen to who tomorrow? So nobody knows that. Nobody knows what we have in store for tomorrow, right? Therefore, buddhiman, an intelligent person, what does he do? Whatever he has to do tomorrow, he does it today itself. Shvaha karaniyani karyani, whatever we plan to do tomorrow, an intelligent person does it today itself. So typically we say, right? So what you plan for tomorrow, do it today. What you want to do today, do it now. So that is the beautiful meaning of Subhashitam. So the Arthaha Samskrute Patami, Jivanam na Shashvatam. Life is uncertain. Agami kale kim bhavishyati iti manusyaha na janati. Agami, in the future, kale, times, kim bhavishyati, what is going to happen, iti manusyaha na janati, humans don't know what's in store in the future. Ataha buddhiman naraha, so the intelligent person, swasya kartavyasya, whatever he is supposed to do, dharma palanasya cha, whatever is his duty, vishaye shraddhavan bhavati. He pays a lot of attention to his duties, whatever he is supposed to do, he pays a lot of attention. Swastana karyam adya karoti. Whatever he plans to do tomorrow, he attempts to do it today. Adyatana karyam idanam eva karoti. Whatever he wants to do today, he tries to do it at the earliest possible time right now. So that is the overall meaning of this.
Actually, Praveena, there is a Hindi saying, "Kal karne ka kaam aaj kar, aaj ka kaam ab kar."
Exactly. So this is the Subhashitam that says that. So let's repeat the Subhashitam once. Who wants to repeat after me?
Shall I?
Yes, go ahead. Na kaschidapi janati
Na kaschidapi janati
kim kasya
kim kasya
shvo bhavishyati
shvo bhavishyati
atashvah karaniyani
atah swah karaniyani
kuryadhadyaiva
kuryadardaiva
buddhiman.
buddhiman.
We learned the Upanishads that's mentioned in our scriptures, right? We learned about the 10 primary Upanishads. Can anybody remember the names of the 10 Upanishads that we learned earlier? Okay, we will repeat this sloka because today we'll be learning Puranas also. So, Isha Kena Kata Prashna
ईशकेन प्रश्न
Mundamandukya tittiri.
मुण्डमान्योकतिथिरि
Aitareyam cha chandokyam.
Aitareyan cha
ऐतरेयं च
chandokyam.
चान्दोक्यम्
Brihadaranyakam tatha.
Bruhadaranyakam tatha.
So this is a beautiful sloka which gives us the first alphabet of each of the Upanishads. It's like an acronym for us to expand on and understand the names of the 10 primary Upanishads. So Isha stands for Ishavasyopanishad. Kena is for Kenopanishad. Kata is for Katopanishad. Prashna is for Prashnopanishad. Munda is for Mundakopanishad. Mandukya is for Mandukyopanishad. Tittiri is for Taittiriyopanishad. Etareyam is for Aitareyopanishad. Cha basically and. Chandokyam is for Chandokyapanishad. Brihadaranyakam is for Brihadaranyakapanishad. Tata. So these are the 10 primary Upanishads. So they give you slokas to easily memorize and remember the names of the Upanishads. So these are the 10 important Upanishads. Okay. So typically when we speak about literature in Sanskritam, we tend to combine everything under one head saying it is the mythology. But then each of our scriptures have been given different names depending on what is contained in these scriptures. So it is very important that we use the appropriate names for this. Upanishad, the sloka which we just understood, gives the names of 10 Upanishads, right? So Upa means near, Nisha sits down. So the important things which the student understands sitting right next to the teacher, because the meanings are really subtle. Until we understand it clearly, it will be very difficult for us to decipher the great Vedantas. So those are called as Upanishads. So we learned that 10 primary Upanishads are Isha Kena Kata Prashna, Mundamandukya Tittiri, Aitareyam Cha Chandokyam, Brihadaranyakam Tata. Similarly, we can memorize all the Puranas by having a sloka like this. So before going into what the Puranas are and why should we understand them, it is very important for us to understand why these are named this way. So Upanishad means Upa, near, Nishad, sits. The student sits right next to the teacher in order to understand the essence of Upanishads. Why is it important? Because the meanings in the Upanishads are really deep and they are very, very subtle. So the student has to pay utmost attention in order to understand the essence of the Upanishad. Therefore, Upanishads are, a primary source of text from which the knowledge of Vedantas can be had. So we can't group everything under the head of mythology as it is usually done in the translation of English texts. Now, what we are going to understand is Purana. What do we mean by Purana? Purana means Pura api navam Puranam. Pura means ancient, really old text. Navam means today. So Puranam means the ancient literature which is applicable to even today. For the latest things, it is applicable. That kind of knowledge is called as Puranam. So Puranam, there are several Puranams, and the primary Puranas are classified as 18 important Puranas from which we can get a lot of information. So the Puranas have a lot of metaphors involved in it. So we have to understand what each of these metaphors stand for. Lot of stories are there for us to understand, deep spiritual knowledge in a very simple way. And most of it will be in the form of a conversation. So a person will ask another person some questions. So the answers will be recorded as stories. And these stories can be read at different levels depending on the recipient. For example, when a child has to eat food, we show the moon and say, the moon is there, and then feed them the food. But when an adult sees the moon, the perspective is different. And when a scientist sees the moon, the perspective is totally different. So the Puranas, the same story can be understood at a different level based on who the audience is. So rishis will be narrating the stories, and you will get different interpretation when you approach the stories very differently. So a lot of metaphorical information will be, ingrained in the stories in Puranas. So there are primarily 18 Puranas, which some classify further into Sattvic Puranas, Rajasic Puranas, Tamasic Puranas, depending on what is contained in the Puranas. So how do we remember, first of all, that there are 18 Puranas and what are the names of the Puranas? You have this beautiful sloka here. So these are the 18 Puranas: Matsya Purana, Markandeya Purana, Bhagavata Purana, Bhavishyat Purana, Brahmanda Purana, Brahma Vaivarta Purana, Brahma Purana, Vamana Purana, Varaha Purana, Vishnu Purana, Vayu Purana, Agni Purana, Narada Purana, Padma Purana, Linga Purana, Garuda Purana, Kurma Purana, Skanda Purana. How do we remember all this? The names itself make us like, oh my God. So our elders have not just given the Puranas, they've also given us a easy way to memorize it. So this is a lovely sloka. In fact, one of my favorites also for the way they've really constructed it. So the sloka runs like this. Madvayam bhadvayam chaiva bratrayam vachatuštayam anapalinga kuskani puranani prachakshate. Okay. So they have grouped it as numbers, Ma Dvayam. There are two Puranas which starts with Ma. So it is easy for us to remember. So what are the two Puranas? It is Matsya and Markandeya. Ma Dvayam. Two Puranas starting with Ma. Ba Dvayam. There are two other Puranas which starts with Ba, which is Bhagavata Puranam and Bhavishyat Puranam. Bratrayam. There are three Puranas which starts with Bra. So what are they? Brahmanda Puranam, Brahma Vaivarta Puranam, and Brahma Puranam. Va Chatushtayam, there are four which starts with Va, which is Vamana Puranam, Varaha Puranam, Vishnu Puranam, Vayu Puranam. So just think about, how they try to simplify it so that we can memorize it. After that, they've given individual alphabets, A, Na, Pa, which means A for Agni, Na for Narada, Pa for Padma Purana. Linga, one word is split into two, where it is Li for Linga Puranam and Ga for Garuda Puranam. Ku is for Kurma Puranam. Ska is for Skanda Puranam. So this gives us the easy way to remember all the 18 Puranas. Okay. So who wants to repeat this after me? Sujata Shankar Baini? Yeah. Madvayam bhadvayam chaiva.
Madvayam bhadvayam chaiva.
Bratrayam vachatuštayam.
Bratrayam vachatuštayam.
Anapalinga.
Anapalinga.
Kuskani.
Kuskani.
Puranani prachakshate.
Puranani prachakshate.
Everybody can repeat it after us. Madvayam bhadvayam chaiva.
Madvayam
Bratrayam vachatuštayam.
Bratrayam vachatuštayam.
Anapalinga kuskani.
Anapalinga kuskani.
Puranani prachakshate.
Puranani prachakshate.
So these are the 18 primary Puranas, after which we also have the Upa Puranas, which have plenty. Okay, but you can remember the 18 with this. Okay, so this is what was there in our book on page 55. Okay, so after that we have two beautiful slokas. Many of you would be knowing this sloka, so let's dwell a little deeper on this. Vasudeva sutam devam kamsa chanura mardanam devaki paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Shuklam Bharadharam Vishnum Shashivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasanna Vadanam Dhyayet Sarva Vignopashantaye. Page 54, you have both these slokas. Okay. So let me first go into the Shuklam Bharadaram Vishnum Shashi Varnam Chaturbhujam Prasanna Vadanam Dhyayet Sarva Vignopashantaye. This is not for your exams because all of you were interested to know a little about each of this. I'm explaining this. So it is just for us to relish the meaning of the slokas. Okay. For the exams, as long as you know the slokas, that is enough. All right. Okay. So what is the meaning of this? Shukla, in fact, all of you should be able to understand this very easily. Shukla Ambaram. Ambaram is the attire, the robe that he wears. Shukla is bright. Vishnu, Vishnu means all pervading. So the person who is everywhere is Vishnu. Sahasranamam also starts, right? Vishwam Vishnu Vashatkara. So Vishnu is all pervading. Sashi Varnam. Sashi means moon. Shashikala. We use the word Sashi, right? Sashi is moon. Shashi Varnam. Varnam, color. So Shashi Varnam. Chatur Bhujam, the one who has Chatur. Chatur means four.
Four arms.
Bhujam, four arms. Prasanna Vadanam. Vadanam is face. Prasanna, happy face.
Happy
Serene,
face.
happy, yeah, tranquil face. Dhyayet. Dhyayam, meditate. Sarva, all. Vigna, troubles. Upashantaye. So please nullify or remove, ward off. So these are the meanings. Now, what is the interesting part of this sloka is, if you look at the first line, Shuklam, Bharadaram, Vishnum, Shashivarnam, Chaturbhujam, Prasanna Vadanam, all these are adjectives. Everything is an adjective. Shukla is the bright Ambaram robe that he wears, the one who has the bright robe, Shuklam Bharadaram. Vishnu, all pervading. Vishnu is also an adjective here, okay? All pervading. Shashivarnam, the one who has the color of the moon, you know, typically you say it's a gray color, so Shashivarnam. Chaturbhujam, the one who has four arms. Prasanna Vadanam, the one who has beautiful, peaceful face. All these are adjectives and it does not mention the deity. So what people usually understand is, because this comes before the Vishnu Sahasranamam, and this also is seen in the Gajendra Moksham of Bhagavatam, the 8th skanda of Bhagavatam, people attribute that this should be to Lord Vishnu. But it also appears in one of the Puranas which explains about Ganesha. So a lot of people say that this means Ganesha. So people take it the way they want because this is about the all-pervading Lord with four arms and tranquility and the color of the robe and everything without actually mentioning a noun. That is the beauty of this sloka. You can apply it to your favorite deity, the ultimate deity, the all-pervading God. So in this explanation, it is given as Vishnu because it appears in the Sahasranamam. You recite this prior to the Sahasranamam. So, Shukla Ambaram, I said, is about the brightness, right? Some people translate it as white, but we should remember that Shukla Paksham, Krishna Paksham, we tell it for the waxing and the waning of the moon's face. So this means that the Shukla means the brighter face of the moon. The moon moves towards the brightness. Krishna is moving towards the darkness. So here, Shukla Ambaram means the one who has bright clothes, not necessarily white clothes. So that is a interesting thing. Vishnu, again, we can't understand it as a noun. It is a adjective. Shashi Varnam. Some people again translate moon's color as white, but actually Shashi is kind of gray. Moon is kind of gray. Okay. So let us repeat this sloka. One of you can repeat after me.
Yes, may I please?
Yeah, go ahead. Shuklam Baradharam Vishnum
Shuklam Bharadaram Vishnum
Shashivarnam Chaturbhujam
Shashivarnam Chaturbhujam
Prasanna Vadanam Dhyayet
Prasanna Vadanam Dhyayet
Sarva Vignopashantaye.
Sarva Vignopashantaye.
Wonderful. So let's go to the next sloka now. So Vasudeva Sutam Devam. This is again a beautiful sloka. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanura Mardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Vasudeva. Vasudeva is Lord Krishna's father, and that is why Krishna is known as Vasudeva, because he is Vasudeva's son. Vasudeva Sutam, son of Vasudeva. Devam, the Lord. Kamsa Chanura Mardanam. He killed Kamsa, he killed Chanura. So he is the destroyer of Kamsa and Chanura. Devaki Paramanandam. He made his mother Devaki very happy. Paramanandam. Who is he? He is Krishna. Here the noun was very explicit. Krishna. And he says, Vande Jagadgurum. He is the Jagat Guru. He is the Guru of the entire Jagat. So let's understand every word of this. Vasudeva, the name of Krishna's father. Sutam means son. Devam is God. Kamsa. Kamsa is his uncle, Krishna's uncle, the demon Kamsa. Chanura. Chanura is one of the wrestler in the court of Kamsa. He is another demon. And Kamsa Chanura, his name was Chanura. Mardanam. So Krishna actually crushed them. Devaki. Devaki is Krishna's mother. Parama Anandam. Anandam means bliss. Parama Anandam is ultimate bliss. One day. Now again see, they have very intelligently given this sloka in this chapter where we learned about Parasmaipadi and Atmanepadi. Now what is one day? One day is Atmanepadi for Nama. So Aham Namami. Instead of that, you can say Aham Vande. So here they've used Vande. So I worship Jagat Gurum, the Lord who is the ultimate Guru of this Jagat. Here the sloka is very, very interesting. First of all, we have to understand the term Guru. Guru has two alphabets in it, Gu and Ru. Gu means darkness. Ru means light. Guru Shabda Sandakaraha Syat. Ru Shabdasya, it's the brightness. Tannirodakaha, yeah, Tannirodakaha. Andakara Nirodatvat Guru iti diyate. Andakaram, the person who removes the darkness and brings you to light is considered as a Guru, according to the definition of Guru. Now, Krishna in this sloka is not just called as Guru, he is called as Jagat Guru, correct? Now, why is he called as Jagat Guru? Because he is beyond all what we see here. You know, he's beyond the geography, he is beyond the language, he's beyond the culture, he is beyond everything and gives the knowledge to the mankind which can move them from darkness to light. So he is not a guru of just a particular group or anything. He is Jagat Guru. So that is why Bhagavad Gita is called as the book which can guide anybody irrespective of the divisions. So Krishnam Vande Jagat Guru. Now, because Krishna is like this, what does he do? He becomes a world teacher who is the son of Vasudeva, and he creates so much of joy for Devaki. Now, in Tamil also we say, right, Sandron ena ketattai. which means when does the mother really feel happy? When she hears something that, her child did something nice, something great. So then the mother feels happy, she feels elated. Now, Krishna is not just like that. It's not like any other boy, right? He is the Deva himself who has been a Jagat Guru. So imagine the happiness of Devaki. So it is not just bliss, it is Paramanandam. So when you connect the Jagat Guru to the Paramanandam, you get the Anubhava of this sloka. So Devaki Paramanandam Jagat Gurum Krishnam. So the Jagat Guru Krishna made his mother so proud of having him as her son. So in this sloka, if you notice, the multiple roles that Lord Krishna played is evident. First, it speaks about the Vasudeva Sutam. So as a son, he actually relieved them from the jail. Vasudeva Sutam Devam. So he is God himself. For the society, what did he do? Kamsa Chanura Mardanam. He made the world devoid of demons who were causing havoc to everybody who lived there. In fact, Krishna in Bhagavad Gita says, right? Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma samsthapanataya. So he is here to do, great things to the humankind. So the importance he is given for society is taken into the second part of the sloka, Kamsa Chanura Mardanam. And usually when you go into subtle meanings, all these are beyond scope of Pravesha, okay? I'm just telling this. So beyond this, when you look at it, typically in slokas, when two things are given, like Kamsa Chanura in this example, it would mean some relationship is there if you look at a deeper angle. Here, Chanura was a wrestler and Kamsa was the person who was dictating it. So it could also mean the body and the mind. So all the negative demons which were there physically and mentally, Krishna destroys them. So it is not just about the Chanura and Kamsa. It is also about the negative thoughts that we have in our mind. The issues we can do, mistakes physically. All these are actually destroyed or corrected by Lord Krishna. Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam. So that I explained. So he brings out eternal bliss to Devaki. So what do I do? One day. If you notice in this sloka, it does not say aham vande. That is the beauty of Sanskritam, because when you use the word vande, what does it mean? Aham is automatically there because vande is used only for the Uttama Purushaha Ekavachanam Rupam. Otherwise, you would have used vandete, vandante, or some other word, right? Here, the very fact they are using vande makes us understand that it is aham vande. Aham is there in the sloka, even if it is not explicitly mentioned. Do you understand this part? That is why they've used the sloka in this chapter. Okay, so that's the beauty of the whole thing. So here, you have to understand this sloka to enhance the beauty of the sloka. Vasudeva Sutam means Vasudevasya Putram Devam. This is the Lord himself. Kamsa Chanura Mardanam. So he killed the Kamsa and Chanura, which could have multiple meanings as I explained. Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande, which is Namami, Aham Namami, Jagat Gurum, Vishwasya Guru Krishna iti artaha. So the sentence, if you look at this sloka as a sentence, how would it be? Aham Vasudeva Sutam Kamsa Chanura Mardanam Devaki Paramanandam Jagat Gurum Devam Krishnam Vande. This is how you will write it as a sentence, right? Aham, which is assumed, Vasudeva Sutam Kamsa Chanura Mardanam Devaki Paramanandam Jagadgurum Devam Krishnam Vande. So that will be the Anvaya of this. Anvaya is putting it in a prose order. Okay. So what is the Kriya Padam in this entire sloka?
Vande.
Vande, exactly. Vande. So start with Vande, and then what you will have is Aham Vande. So Aham Vande, that is the main sentence that you have here. After that, you will start adding the adjectives. So you have so many different beautiful sentences here. Aham Vasudeva Sutam Vande. Aham Devam Vande. Aham Kamsa Chanura Mardanam Vande. Aham Devaki Paramanandam Vande. Aham Krishnam Vande. Aham Jagadgurum Vande. Do you understand this?
Yes.
Yes.
So that is the way we enjoy the sloka. So you break it down into smaller things. So now that you know Aham Vande is the base, you add all the adjectives to it to understand the bigger picture. Okay.
Guru, 1 minute.
Yes.
We had done this Vasudevam Sutam in our December play.
Okay.
We had ended this with that when
Yes,
we did
yes.
the Krishna Sudama
Wonderful.
play.
Yeah. I remember now. It's a lovely sloka.
And Danapalinga Kuskani, I think we did it in the Shloka class.
Shloka class,
It used
yeah,
to
we
be
did in the Shloka
my
class.
favorite also. Very beautiful.
So the next part is, we have the 6 important things mentioned as shastras in this. So I was telling that giving the right words for each of this is very important, right? So what do we mean by shastras? Basically is that when a knowledge is so profound that people are able to transfer the knowledge to the respective disciples, and they are able to communicate it and replicate it, that's what we call as science. We call it as shastras. There are many different shastras. The knowledge that our ancestors have given us has been really deep in many different ways. In this, primary 6 shastras are mentioned in the slide that we are seeing here. So we have the Alankara Shastram, Vyakarana Shastram, Tarka Shastram, Purva Mimamsha Shastram, and Uttara Mimamsha Shastram. All these are mentioned on page 55 and 56. So let us understand, or at least get to know, the important names here, because what happens is, being people who are learning Sanskritam, the important contributors' names should at least ring a bell in our mind when we hear these names. So the first is the Alankara Shastra. Alankara Shastra is the science of the figure of speech. So here you have the upamas, which are the equivalent of similes that we hear in English, the rupakam or the metaphors, atishayokti, the hyperboles. A lot of these information are given in our literature. In fact, the Rasha Shastra of the expressions and other things, right, which is given by sage Bharata of Natya Shastra, plays an important role. So here a lot of alankara. Alankara basically means the literary embellishment, the shabdas, the dwani. How this makes a difference is a wonderful repository that people have explained in no uncertain terms. So there are 3 important contributors to this. Many contributors are there. So for us to start with, 3 important books and their authors' names are given. Ananda Vardhanaha, who wrote the Dvanya Lokam, which is an authoritative text about the Dvani, or the embellishments of sounds that we can have. Jagannathaha, Rasa Gangadharaha is the Grantham that he authored. Vishwanathaha, Sahitya Darpana is the book that he authored. All these are like the authoritative text as far as the Alankara Shastra is concerned. Similarly, you have some books and contributors for each of these. This is for the Vyakaranam. Vyakaranam is like the grammar that we understand. This is much deeper than the actual translation of grammar, because this is what will help us understand Vedas. This is considered as a Vedangam itself. So, Panini Maharishi, remember I told it in our Vidyanidhi also, from the Damaru Shabda of Maheshwara Sutram, Lord Shiva's Damaru Shabda, Panini read these and he reproduced it as the grammar of Sanskritam. He compiled the sutras. This entire compilation of the sutras, which in fact, surprises or puzzles people even today. Can there be a grammatical work like this, which is so concise, very small compared to the amount of information contained in it? And people are writing so many research papers on artificial intelligence and Panini's Ashtadhyayi today. So it is such a thought-provoking work, which is Ashtadhyayi. And in Sanskrit literature, we have people writing commentaries on the elders' works, So if one person has authored a book, instead of another person authoring another book, they try to understand what their elders have written and try to write commentaries. So Patanjali Maharishi wrote commentary on Ashtadhyayi. And after that, we have the Bhattoji Dikshitar, who tried to make it a little simpler for people who came after that because of the language and understanding. So he wrote Siddhi Kaumudi. And today we find Siddhi Kaumudi itself a little challenging. So we have something called this Lagu Siddhanta Kaumudi. So the grammar and the understanding is something that we all learn. And we've not gone into any of those texts. Those texts are, waiting for us. Okay. And here we have what we call as the Tarka Shastram. Tarka Shastram is yet another very, very interesting Shastra. Here we explain about the concept of guidelines on how to have logic in terms of discourses for debates. How do we have the process of questioning? What kind of questioning should we ask when? How do we draw conclusions based on a discussion? So on and so forth. So that is about a lot of the guidelines of logic. So that is Tarka Shastra. And for Tarka Shastra, we again have a lot of books. And some of the books that's mentioned here are the first important compilation which Gautama Maharishi gave us, which is called the Nyaya Sutras. Nyaya Sutras are like the affirmance of the Tarka Shastra. Nyaya Manjari by Jayanta Bhattaha, Ganeshopadhyasya Tattva Chintamanihi. These are the three texts that is given for us. We have a lot of books on Nyaya, Tarka, Mimamsha. In fact, the Vada Parampara is something which used to be a wonderful debate. People did not conquer others to their faith by, using weapons or anything. It is just by intelligence, just by arguments, by logic. Others were so attracted to the disciplines taught by, the acharyas that they started following them. So Adi Shankara and Mandana Mishra's debate is one of the world's famous Tarka Shastra debate that we can think. So Adi Shankara argued with Mandana Mishra, for which Uma Bharati, a lady who was Mandana Mishra's wife, she was the judge. And how will a person favor another person instead of a husband? But Uma Bharati actually favored Adi Shankara because of the intelligence.
Well, M24 by 4.
Was there in our women. These kind of great reflections are there in our scriptures. So that is the Tarka Shastra. So three important books of Tarka Shastra are mentioned here. After that, we have the Purva Mimamsa, which is the first part of the Vedas. So Maharishi Jaimini compiled all this. And then we have this is about how we should do the rituals, the cause and effect of doing each of this. So it is a lot of details into each person's duty. In case of warfare, what the soldiers or the warrior class people should do, how should the householder perform the duties. A lot of these things, the cause, effect, everything is mentioned in Purva Mimamsa. So you have Jaimini's Jaimini Sutrani. Sutrani again are the small sutras that the entire text is compiled with for easy memorizing. Then you have the Kumarila Bhatta's Tantra Vartikam. Vartikam is like a
mini explanation of these sutras in a slightly expanded form. And then you have the complete commentary by Shabara Swami, Shabara Bhashyam, which is a detailed commentary of the sutras. And here comes the Uttara Mimamsa, which people are very interested in today, which is about the Upanishads. Typically, people learn the Nyaya Shastra and everything before coming to the Upanishads. Only then it is easy to understand it. But today, all those are skipped for want of time and actual situations today. So this is Badarayana, who compiled the Brahma Sutras, which are again the sutra forms. He compiled everything. We have the Upanishads, which are the end part of Vedas. We learned about the names of 10 Upanishads earlier. And you also have what we call as what is it? The three things, the Prasthanatrayam. The Prasthanatrayam is a compilation of Bhagavad Gita, Brahma Sutras, and the Upanishads. Basically, at least these three things people wanted to know, if not the other things. But these things, three things are huge. Bhagavad Gita itself is huge. So these are called as the Prasthanatrayam, which people try to understand. Okay. So I wanted to explain a little bit about the astrology and timeline if we had time, but we've already exceeded time, so I'll skip that part. So if you just have a look at your third chapter.
Can we have that
starting from
last
page
slide,
43.
Pravina Bhagini? Can we have that last slide, the pink one?
No, we did that earlier. I wanted to explain more on that today.
Okay.
For the Tithi, Varsha and all that as additional information. You will see whenever we get time, I will explain that.
Okay,
Okay,
thank
so
you.
from page 43, we started the third chapter. Sotsahanam, Natsyasadhyam, Naranam. And then we learned all about the Atmanepati Rupam. So it went all the way to page 48, where it said about Vandate, Vandete, Vandante, Vandasi, Vandete, Vandate, Vande, Vanda, Vahe, Vandamahe. And we learned the numbers till 50, which we've done. Then you had activities about it. Then Vyavahara Shabdaha, we did that also. Prahelika, we did it today. The Vasudeva Sutam Devam and Shuklambaradaram, we detailed it today. The 18 Puranas we have completed, Madvayam, Badvayam. The Shastras, I have explained a little of it today. The Mooda Jambukaha, we also saw a poem on that. We went into the storyline. Samskrita Vyavaharaha. So this is about using kada, making sentences and all that. Paha, adya, hyaha and all that. How to say the time. And then Vashitam, na kastidapi janati in kasya shobha. So that completes the third chapter for us. So to practice this week, whenever you see the time, try to tell that in Sanskritam. Okay, so try to tell the time in Sanskritam, so you will get a hang of it. So adya, shvaha, khyaha, all that can also be included for discussion, right? And try to use the chart to enhance your vocabulary. So as teams, you can work on that. Any questions or we can wrap up? Yes, Raj?
Yeah, sorry, I had a little bit of trouble with the connection. So you said Alankara Shastram was a figure of speech like similes, hyperboles. So what would be for Vyakarna Shastram? What would the English equivalent be?
Grammar.
Just plain, okay, all the, okay, the rules and etc.
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
What is Purva Mimamsa, Uttara Mimamsa? What is the...
Purva Mimamsa is a lot about rituals, rituals based on where you belong, right? You know, Kshatriyas, warriors, these are the rules. Grihasthas, these are the rules. How to perform yajnas, rituals, everything comes under that. Uttara Mimamsa is the Jnana Kanta, where people speak about knowledge, philosophy, how to interpret Upanishads, Brahma Sutras, Bhagavad Gita, all those things.
So that's more action and this is more
philosophy.
So
in this, the action will be mainly to contemplate on the text and understand In fact, after Purva Mimamsa, people say you get prepared for the Uttara Mimamsa. Yes.
I
Pravina,
have an
you-
open request to the group. I'll do it after Pravina finishes.
Okay, so Pravina,
Yeah.
you also mentioned Sankhya, Yoga, Nyaya, Vaisesika, Purva Mimamsa, and Uttara Mimamsa. Are they also linked here with the Shastram? Astika
yes.
and Shastram? Because even in Purva Mimamsa, you said rituals, and Uttara Mimamsa, you said like convictions.
Yes, Uttara Mimamsa is a compilation of the Brahma Sutras, the Upanishads, and the Bhagavad Gita. The Prasthana Trayam combines to form Uttara Mimamsa, of which Upanishad is called as the Vedanta. Okay. Purva Mimamsa is a lot about rituals. Basically, it's a little past time. If you're okay, I can explain this because we are going into a different topic. So, the way you have to understand is our ancestors were called Darshanakartas, Darshanikas, which means that they experienced a lot of things. Okay. So when a person experiences and leaves it there, these are called as Darshanas. So you have a lot of Darshanas. In fact, we call it as Nyaya Darshana, Vaisheshika Darshana, all that. But the moment that person is able to transfer that experience as a knowledge in no uncertain term, which others can replicate, then it becomes a Shastra. Okay, so sometimes you will see Nyaya Darshanam is also there, Nyaya Shastram is also there. That is because this could be replicated as a Shastra. But you will see certain things are only Darshanas and certain things are only Shastras, which means that this can be replicated. Was it experiential? May not be for everybody. Some people would have experienced it and then transferred the knowledge. So those are the different languages that people use. So Shastras, all these are Shastras because these can be transferred in no uncertain way to the next person. So you have Shilpa Shastra, you have Natya Shastra, you have Yoga Shastra. All these are something which everybody can learn and implement in their life.